Today we're looking at the RNAV GPS runway 4 into Wasilla, how to fly the approach, how to communicate with ATC, and how to fly the missed approach, assuming you don't get to see the runway when you pop out of the clouds. Hey everyone, I'm John from Fly8MikeAlpha.com, coming to you today from the Fly 8 Mike Alpha Pilot Lodge in Big Lake, Alaska, to talk about the RNAV GPS runway 4 approach into Wasilla. For starters here, we're going to walk you through how to use the Garmin 430 and 530 to fly this approach in a steam gauge Cessna 172, as well as all the ATC communications and what the whole procedure looks like. To get started off with this, a couple things that we want to talk about on the Garmin 430 and 530. Whenever in doubt, when you get lost in all these pages, press and hold clear to get back to the map page. If you get on some page you're not sure about in the Garmin 430, it's different than the 530, you press and hold clear, and then one simple small click to the right on that narrow cursor on the small knob, and that'll bring you to the map page. That gives you a nice situational awareness. We all love maps and moving maps, right? So next, we go to the flight plan page because we want to dial up this RNAV 4 approach, and we can see there's a bunch of junk in here. We're not sure what it is. We don't want to confuse ourselves and get mixed up, so we're just going to go ahead and go menu, use the big knob to go down to delete flight plan, enter, and delete everything. So now everything is gone from there, and when I press and hold clear and go back to the map page, there's nothing in there. So life is good. We can go ahead to get this thing dialed up and get some situational awareness going, hit direct to, and that will bring us to the direct to page. We can see that it's already highlighted up there. We'll use the little cursor to select a P for PAWS, the big knob to move over one, move over again since that's our A, little knob to select the W and the S. Don't make the mistake of clicking in because then you have to start all over again, and that's a huge bummer. So there's our, oh boy, I'm messing this up, but when you mess it up, you just press the center and it resets it. So PAWS. Once you're sufficiently frustrated because you accidentally clicked the center button a few times and had to type this in 4 or 5 times and you've got it fully typed in the correct way, then it's time to press enter. That's the magic button you're looking for, and then you'll press enter again to activate it, and you'll get yourself a purple line for situational awareness direct to the airport at this point, showing you that you're 15.2 miles out. And we're hustling along at 110 knots. We got a yellow message, and anytime we have a yellow message, we need to click on it, even though we may already know that it's nothing pertinent, like nav data out of date. DPs do not like to see you flying around ignoring big warning messages in the cockpit when you're on a check ride. So now that we've got our flight plan set up to take us to Wasilla Airport, we're going to go ahead and hit the procedures key, select approach, we'll press enter, RNAV 4, enter, vectors, sounds good to me, enter, load, enter, and there we are. There's AVER, and then the next one after AVER is going to be Fritzl, and we're going to plan to intercept the final approach course somewhere in there. At this point, ATC may likely issue a descent, and they may also give you a different heading to fly. So at this point, I'd say we're already on a 080 heading. That looks like a pretty nice course intercept for us there. Let's say ATC comes on and says, Cessna 172 Sierra Papa, turn 5 degrees left, descend and maintain 1,900. So you go ahead and turn that 5 degrees left, and you descend and maintain 1,900. Because we are close to the ground, we're just a few thousand feet at this point. 500 feet a minute sounds like a good descent rate to me. Of course, descent reducing power there a little bit so we don't pick up extra airspeed. If we're hand flying, all we would have to do is reduce power, the nose will lower, and we'll continue descending at that constant speed. We don't have to retrim or do anything crazy like that. It's almost easier to hand fly these in real life than it is flying with the autopilot. Also, please ignore the fact that we are critically low on fuel. We're going to make this approach happen quick before we run out of gas. Now, notice here that we're in terminal mode. That's not good. We're going to want to see approach mode or LPV mode, certainly within 2 nautical miles of the final approach fix. Otherwise, we have to go missed. Plus, our current active leg is taking us direct to pause, to Wasilla. We don't want that. We actually want it to take us from AVER to Fritzl on down. So we want to activate this leg between AVER and Fritzl. And luckily, we already are in GPS mode. Very common error that this stays in nav mode, and then the CDI never comes alive. So you have to press the CDI button on the Garmin 430 or 530 to get the GPS enunciation to make this sure the CDI is going to show you if you're left or right of the purple line. Again, message, nothing important. We'll go flight plan page, use the big knob, scroll down to Fritzl, press menu, select activate leg, enter, and now we've activated that leg. When we go ahead and press clear, we can see that leg is now active. We can see that we're to the left of the purple line. The CDI is off on our right. At this point, ATC is probably going to come on and say something like, Cessna 172 Sierra Papa, turn left heading 070 to intercept the final approach course, maintain 1,900 till established, cleared, RNAV Runway 4 into Wasilla. We read it back to them. We're going to wait to see that CDI needle come alive, start swinging in before we turn towards Fritzl. We have the LPV enunciation, which is good. Typically, it's going to come within 2 nautical miles of the final approach fix. We're 3.5 out right now. We're going a little faster because we just leveled. We need to reduce power. Lots going on here in the sim. And I'm starting to turn left because I'm assuming that we're going to start to intercept that final approach course. I'm also going to go ahead and arm the nav mode on the autopilot. We can see the CDI is alive now, and I'm slowing to 90 knots as I intercept the final approach course because I don't want things to happen too quickly and I don't want to blast on through it. We'll go ahead and press nav now, and the autopilot's going to steer us onto that final approach course, using power to maintain 90. And at this point, we can go ahead and bug our inbound final approach course, which is going to be 038. You can see that activating that nav mode on the autopilot a little early made the airplane do some crazy stuff. You may want to actually hand fly it onto the final approach course before activating nav mode. It helps hold it steady, but sometimes they do weird things trying to chase those needles. Now that we're 2 miles from the final approach fix, it's time to start slowing to our final approach speed. I know this is controversial, but we're going to go ahead and throw in 10 degrees of flaps right now. We're within flap range. Once we do that, we're going to go ahead and throw in the second notch of flaps because we're 1.5 miles from the final approach fix and I want to be fully configured by the final approach fix just to buy myself some time. I'm there at 70. That is my final approach speed. I'm not flying this approach at 90. I know in the training atmosphere we do sometimes, trying to save time and money, but for the purpose of the checkride, the ACS wants you to be on speed, at the appropriate speed, configured appropriately, and stable. And stable means that at 1,000 feet AGL, we are on speed, fully configured, all good to go. So rather than waiting to 1,000 feet AGL when we're already trying to track the glide slope down, let's just do it now. And then as soon as we intercept the glide path coming across the final approach fix, life is super easy. All we have to do if we're hand flying is reduce power slightly. That will initiate the descent rate to track the glide slope down so that we don't have to be trimming or messing with trim or flaps or anything like that. At that point, we're on speed, and all we have to do to start our descent is simply reduce power. In this case, I'm going to use the autopilot to help me out here because I'm kind of busy talking to you guys and flying the sim at the same time. Reducing power to not get too fast, trying to hold that 70 there. And how did I select 400 feet a minute on down? Well, I simply rounded up and said, hey, my ground speed's 75 knots, let's call it 80. If my ground speed was 80 knots, I add a 0, divide by 2, gives me 400 feet a minute. All right, if it was 70, then I would add a 0, divide by 2, it'd give me 350 feet per minute. I am not going to just make up numbers and say, oh, I'm going to start down at 500 feet a minute or this or that or whatever. I just add a 0, I divide by 2. I don't do the whole multiply by 5 thing. 70 times 5 is too much math for me. 80 times 5 is too much math. It's easier for me to add the 0, divide by 2, and get that 400 feet a minute. Now, I show that I'm a little high above glide path there, so I'm going to go ahead and bump it up to 500 feet a minute on down, just ever so gently. Now coming down here, I can see we're leaving that altitude. We're going through 1,500 feet. And my next check, so to speak, would be at Zenith. I should be ballparking 960. Now, it doesn't apply here because I'm doing an LPV approach, but ballpark around that 960 or 1,000 foot mark. If I'm down at 500 feet crossing Zenith on the GPS, something's wrong and I probably want to go ahead and go missed. My minima are actually going to be 602 here and 3/4 of a mile. It's going to be easy to judge 3/4 of a mile because that runway is 3,700 feet long. So before we reach the runway threshold, when there's still a 1/4 mile or so in between us, we look down and we see the full runway from the beginning, the green bars all the way to the red bars at the very end, then hey, we certainly have that 3/4 of a mile viz. We can go ahead and continue down below our minima and land. 500 to go, passing through 1,100 feet. A little bit low on the glide path. Let's shallow that to 400 feet a minute. And we can see our ground speed's decreasing, so that would be 350. So I'm going to shallow it because I'm a little low all the way down to 300 feet a minute. We're looking for no more than 3/4 scale deflection on our needles to not have to go missed for the purpose of the checkride. If you do go more than 3/4 scale, it's not an instant fail, it's just simply something that you're going to have to go missed. I should be 960 there crossing Zenith. I'm just about, maybe 100 low. I'll take it, that's okay. I'm not 400 or 500 off, so that's all right. A little slow there, bumping in some power, because I shallowed that descent rate and did not accompany it with power, so that's kind of biting me there a little bit. And continuing on down, we're looking for 602. We'll look up and we'll see if we see anything there when we get to 602. Otherwise, we're going to have to go missed. The missed approach procedure, climb to 1,000, and then climbing left turn up to 3,000 feet, and head on over to the BGQ VORTAC. Now, what I should have been doing here is setting up the BGQ VORTAC in NAV2 so I could back it up with ground-based navigation. A little late for that, but would have been a great, really swell thing to do during that approach brief. Luckily in the sim, I can pause it, and I'm going to go ahead and do that now. Now, I know that to get to the Big Lake VOR, I've got 112.5 dialed up there, NAV2. It's going to be right on here. I know it's roughly 270-ish to get out there, so that's going to get me something close to be able to track directly to the station in case I lose GPS as I'm going missed. We'll continue here. I don't see anything, so now I'm going to go ahead and add in full power. 1 notch of flaps going up, and I'm starting my climb away from the ground back to safety because I do not have a runway in sight. So we're going missed. I'm climbing up to 1,000 feet. And I'm not to my missed approach point yet, so even though I'm probably going to get to 1,000 feet before my missed approach point, positive rate, go ahead and retract all the flaps. I'm not going to make that left turn until I am past my missed approach point, which is that runway 4 waypoint. 0.6 from it now 0.5. We'll go back over to it. Now, big key here, when I go past it, you're going to see a SUSP message appear, and you're going to want to go ahead and press it to be able to sequence past this. Otherwise, this is a huge gotcha. There's 1,000. I'm going to throw this thing in heading mode and start turning left. So we're coming around towards the Big Lake VOR. There's a suspend key. Press it, and there you go. Boom. There is the active leg now taking you outbound to the BGQ VOR. So we're using heading mode just because it's a little bit easier, and showing about 246 or so to get directly to the station. So I'm going to keep that left turn coming around. Now I know we have a purple line there, but the bottom line is the instructions are hang that left, go direct BGQ. So even if you're a little bit left or right of course, that's fine. Now if you're going to want to use the autopilot to fly that course, you're going to have to get over to that purple line. Otherwise it's going to get a little wonky on you. But ultimately we're just trying to track that direct course to the Big Lake VOR. 500 feet to go. We'll lead that level off by 100 feet because we're climbing at 1,000 feet per minute. Just a little bit above VY, but good cooling, and plus we don't really need to go more than 1,000 feet a minute up. We could if we wanted to. There's that 100 feet to go. Let's start leveling off here so we don't blast through our altitude. And 3,000. Picking up speed and reducing power. I'm not in a hurry to get to the hold here, all right? Flying out there at 90 or 100's plenty. We don't need to be going 110 or 115 hurrying to get to the hold because, yeah, you're just burning excess fuel. And remember, you're low on gas, like really low on gas. You just went missed, and now you need time to figure out where's the weather good. Do I have to go to Anchorage? Do I have to go to Palmer? Do I have to fly 50 miles to another airport? How am I going to get this thing on the ground? So do not be hauling butt, burning a lot of extra gas for no reason. Anything at your best glide speed or a few knots over is going to be your most efficient speed to be flying. So let's keep it around the 80 to 90 knot range and save some fuel here as we go outbound. We'll go ahead and make life easy for ourselves, head a little to the right to intercept that GPS course, and then we'll go ahead and activate our nav mode on our autopilot. We'll also go ahead and speed up here so you guys don't have to wait too long for this whole process to happen. Now, as we're approaching the hold here, please remember these are not 1-minute legs. These are 4 nautical mile legs. It is all done by GPS. And the 530 is going to help you out here with what kind of entry it is, but obviously we can just say, hey, based on looking at this thing, we're going to be doing a direct entry when we do our nice little pie split there. We're going to hang that left turn to join that right-handed racetrack over the BGQ VOR, and as we cross the BGQ VOR, we'll go ahead and report entering the hold. The inbound heading on those legs is going to be 168. We'll back it up with ground-based navigation, so we'll spin this guy around to 168 there, so when we do come back around onto the actual holding pattern, we can verify that we are on the correct track using the VOR, or if we lost GPS while we're in the hold, it's a very easy switch to make. See how poorly the airplane actually flies off of the GPS here when you're entering the hold. Part of this is a simism. It'll actually work a little bit better in real life, but still you may be wanting to use that heading mode if you're using the autopilot, or simply just hand fly it as you enter the hold. Really, we should have been flying around that corner there, making that left, and then a right. We'll go ahead and see if this thing actually wants to do the right thing and hang a right or not. I'm going to judge and say that it doesn't. So in that case, I'm spinning this around. Oh, maybe it will actually work. We'll go over to 348 just in case it is not gonna. I'm going to throw it in heading mode anyways. I don't trust it. So now we are established in the hold. We crossed the BGQ VOR and we already made that report to ATC that we're established in the hold. We're cruising around here at 90 knots. We got an EFC time. If you report established in the hold and they say Roger, you need to call them back and get an EFC time. Every time you're in a hold, you need an EFC, and sometimes ATC forgets to give that to you. Because right now, you don't have time to just sit in there and wait till you run out of gas. If you lose comms, that EFC time is incredibly important. It's going to be incredibly important for the purpose of that check ride as well. At this point, you're established in the hold. You'll go ahead and advise ATC of what your intentions are once you figure out, hey, where's the weather good? What other airports are available? What other approaches are available? You'll get all that programmed in just the way we showed you before. You'll go to the flight plan page, you'll enter in whatever next airport you're going to be going to, load up the approach for it, and simply select the appropriate leg that you want to be on depending on ATC's instructions. Either they'll assign you headings and vectors to final, which is most likely, in which case you would select the leg to activate a leg on the approach as you get vectored onto that next approach. Any questions on this at all? That's what the comments below are for. For more information on preparing for your IFR check ride, definitely check out the IFR prep course on flight@mikealpha.com. The link is in the description below if you want to be guaranteed to pass your instrument check ride or your CFII ride. As always, reach out to us with any questions, and if you cannot fly every day, then fly@mikealpha.com. We will see you guys in the next one.